All right, guys. So I said a video a while back that I was going to react to the whole situation with Linus Tech Tips. I know I'm a little late to the game. Well, not a little, a lot actually.
You
But
blew it.
I haven't had time to record because it's been hot as hell in here, and I didn't want to, overheat the room, etc., etc. But I'm getting around to it now. So Linus Tech Tips is a uh, PC parts slash tech content creator that I've been watching since 2008 around, and he was my initial go-to guy to figure stuff out. But over the videos watching, I realized that he's not really like pro. Like for instance, say Gamers Nexus here, which have an entire lab dedicated to testing all these parts and running thermal, all this kind of stuff. Just look at all the equipment they have on his back wall there, and that's just a fraction of it. Probably not even 1% of it. Um, so they started pointing out a few things, and we'll go over the video right here. I'll occasionally stop to comment on certain things on that he's talking about. But Linus has been, they're pretty much a big corporation at this point. They're no longer a small YouTube channel or even a medium one for that matter. They become a giant corporation that makes a lot of money. And what's weird about that is ever since they've started churning out, I think it was like 25 videos a week, the quality on those videos has significantly gone down. So I didn't really notice. I kind of did, like in the back of my mind. I was like, that's interesting. Why did he do this? Why did he do that? And why didn't he correct or reshoot the video? Like things like that kept on popping up in my mind. And then Gamers Nexus drops this video. So let's proceed to watch it, and I'll stop on occasion to comment on certain things. Here we go.
A few days ago, this clip from an LTT lab tour got a lot of attention online.
The difference between us and somebody like Gamers Nexus or Hardware Unboxed is we test new components, new tests every time.
And then Hardware Unboxed tweeted dissatisfaction with the statement made in that tour. We didn't say anything at all, anywhere. Even though it's not actually true, they don't collect new data and new tests every single time, and it's not always necessary anyway. So when Linus went on the WAN show, we hadn't gotten involved. Linus responded to Hardware Unboxed on the WAN show and then said the following.
There's a fair number of people that are talking about the whole Trust Me Bro situation, where there were some creators that it seems like you guys are... Look.
Some creators. He's obviously talking about Gamers Nexus there without saying it. So let's continue.
Just say it. Everyone knows you're talking about us.
It's pretty clear that not everyone in the creator space handled that super professionally. I don't obviously agree with some of the takes that were out there. I don't think that it's particularly journalistic, for example, to ignore facts, to ignore personal relationships.
It is my job to ignore personal relationships. Yeah, if LMG is going to make false accusations.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Just because you know somebody and you're both working in the same general space, tech and tech news and calling people out on certain stuff. Just because I know Linus and I've seen him at a few tech conventions or whatever, does not mean that I'm not going to write a story on you and I'm going to give you the heads up on a story, because that would just give you time to write a rebuttal before I even release the video, and that's not journalistic. Sorry. So I don't know where in his mind he thought that was a legit grievance, but let's continue.
Accusations and wants to try and use personal relationships to gain favor so that we don't cover something we think is not okay. It's not going to work with us. We don't play that game. The first clip from an LTT lab tour caught our attention, but it itself isn't worth commenting on. We have something wider in scope we want to comment on, and it's simply that we believe LTT or LMG is rushing too much to hit arbitrary and largely self-imposed deadlines that are causing frequent and sometimes significant data errors and information errors. And this conflicts with the ramping marketing surrounding accuracy and data-driven objective reviews that they're pushing for from LTT Labs. So we've
Yeah, this is
decided
the
to
kind of
turn
stuff I
off
was
all
noticing with
YouTube
them.
monetization here. We will not be placing a sponsored ad in this video. We're just going to report on serious concerns that we have with LTT and bring some awareness to these critical issues. We've been thinking on this for a few months now. We have a few main points of discussion for today. They span from raw data that potentially misleads consumers, even if unintentional, accidental, that counts too. And we have some ethical concerns and corporate connections that we want to talk about, including great ethical concerns regarding LTT's inaccurate testing and misrepresentation of a small company's prototype, followed by
this particular one is the one that irked me a lot. So there's this company called, hold on, let me see.
Off of that prototype, despite the company wanting it back for other media and not granting permission for the auction. Also, we're concerned about ethics issues regarding LMG's recent review of the...
Well, anyway, he'll name the company, but pretty much what happened is they sent Linus a prototype of a water block that was going to go on I believe it was a 3090. They didn't have one on hand, so they said, screw it, let's bolt the 4090 on there. Illusions! Not what it was meant for. It wouldn't work properly, at least. And instead of saying, you know what, let's get a hold of a 3090 and test this properly, they're like, screw it, we're just going to use something it wasn't meant for, and then publish the results. And he pretty much said, this product is garbage, regardless, and it wouldn't have made a difference if you tested it properly. I'm like, bro. In my head, I'm like, bro, that's the whole point of the review, to test it properly in the conditions it was meant for. So that threw me the hell off when I heard that from him. But yeah, you'll see right now.
The Ponage mouse, where they failed to notice...
Let me skip here a few until he gets to the actual... I think it's here. Hold on.
Restrictive time constraints.
Let's publish less videos.
I wish.
See, his own employees were saying, publish less videos. We're doing too much.
And focus on quality for a bit.
More time for projects would be good.
Just allow us more time to work on a video.
We never have time for retrospection. It's always just, that's out. What's the next thing?
Would be nice if the pace was lessened a little bit. Have time to like debrief or look in the rearview mirror at how things went.
I don't love that we have to release so many videos. I don't know what our current count is weekly, but I know it's very high. Very rarely am I particularly proud of a video I've worked on.
And Linus's own comments recently reinforced that the company is still weighing carefully the impact of spending another half day of work on something to get it right, rather than just shoving it out the door incomplete or potentially wrong.
But it was designed for a 3090 Ti. Well, we went for gold and we tried it with a 4090. The temperature results were bad. It was clear that it wasn't making perfect contact, and so Adam was the writer on that project. What Adam asked is if we could spend more time, put the 3090 Ti on it, and get real results. And what I told him was no.
Oh, hell no!
And guys, come on. Like, for real, okay? It's $800 US. I don't know, guys. I'm not sure if I can apologize for not spending another $100, $200, $300, $500 of various people's time.
And that's an important indicator of mindset that comes from ownership of the company. We'll come back to that clip later, though.
Exactly. So at this point, Linus is worth millions of dollars. So him, sorry the word, bitching about having to spend $300, $400, $500 more on an employee's pay for him to test it properly doesn't sit well with me. For one, he's got the money to do it. Two, the quality of your product. And then people are going to bring up questions like, wait. Because remember, this is a prototype. it being $800 might have just been the cost of them making the damn water block. Not to say that I know that, but it might be. And for you to just say, "Oh, it's $800, so it's dog shit," it doesn't. I don't know. It just doesn't sit well with me on that. Anyway, I'm gonna skip some more here. I don't want to make this video as long as Gamers Nexus video and point out some of the stuff, some other stuff. I'll probably skip to this one. Hold on, let me see where they have the jump points here on certain things. Let's see. This is a drama. GPU review errors, CPU cooler testers. Yeah, there's a bunch of whole. Oh, there you go. Oh, the company that sent them the water block is called Billet Labs. So this is the crazy part of the whole ethical concerns.
One or the other. This one talks about the ethics and power of a review outlet and therefore its responsibility to do due diligence on a product. On June 24th, LTT published a video about a copper water block made by a small company called Billet Labs, founded just last year. LTT took one of the company's first prototypes to test, valued in the thousands of dollars for manufacturing, not counting opportunity value. In the video, the LTT team stuck this special 3090 Ti water block on an RTX 4090.
If this wasn't a 3090 Ti, then we don't have another 3090 Ti that we can take apart.
How the hell did we not know what GPU this thing was?
I thought it was a 3090 Ti.
So we just casually had a 4090 sitting on the shelf, clearly labeled?
Stating that it
You blew
should work, despite it not being explicitly compatible. The company did not tell LMG that it would be 4090 compatible. They told LMG that they could try to use a 4090, but Billet Labs itself had not tested one as it didn't have a 4090 at the time. Water blocks have very specific tolerances and clearances for components, so any misalignment would cause poor contact to the GPU.
Exactly. So for him, as self-proclaimed PC expert, not to think about that, not to put that into what's the word I'm looking for, into account for the bad thermals on that, simply just blows my mind. I don't get his train of thought there, but I digress. Continue with the video here.
Core. LMG decided to try it and continued with the video despite misrepresenting the product massively by using it on an incompatible device that it literally would not fit properly. LTT's presentation goes down the path of being irresponsible, presenting the product as much more difficult to work with than it would be if used properly. The conclusion is,
like, it's a cool product, but it's a bad product.
It looks great.
Yeah, it looks super cool.
Are you just saying it's bad just purely because of the price?
I'm broke, nigga, I'm broke!
Absolutely no sense, and nobody should buy it. Most of the community...
And that could have single-handedly torpedoed the whole company. Just because you didn't want to spend the extra time and money to properly test the product, to do a proper review, is at best incompetent, and at worst a scummy way of conducting business with people who are sending you products to review. I mean, I've seen Linus do videos on other companies calling them out on their crap, but when the shoe's on the other foot, nothing to see here. But let's continue.
It is actually really amazing. But there's a vocal minority that looks at something like that and goes, lazy, out of touch. No, I'm just really experienced at this.
Yeah, really experienced.
Get a shot of that. Look at that.
it found this conclusion on the basis of improper installation. This serves no one. It needlessly harms a small company, and this kind of behavior can kill someone's life work in a heartbeat, and it'd be based on invalid testing and presentation. One of the company founders posted below the video and stated this, quote, "We love LTT, but it was difficult to watch their criticisms when pretty much every design issue that Linus raised was done for a reason which was all explained to Adam weeks ago, none of which, I guess, was fed back to Linus. We also sent a full instruction manual that seemingly wasn't used. I think there's definitely been a major communication breakdown along the video pipeline. We assumed we'd have a chance to answer any problems that were raised and explain them before it being publicly misrepresented. LMG
Wow. So again, guys, if you have the opportunity, go and subscribe to Gamers Nexus. They're really thorough in their testing. They've already called out a few companies, Artisan, those guys who did the pre-built computers, which is now defunct. It's bankrupt. People like Newegg, that kind of stuff. I'm not saying, that content creators should be perfect. By all means, I'm not perfect either. I'm going to make mistakes left and right. I just started doing videos like late October of last year. But this kind of stuff, for you to be having a company that's worth millions and not wanting to, first of all, slow down on the content if you don't have sufficient, manpower to do it, don't just, pull out videos. That's why I delay. Like if I feel like I'm not up to making a video one week, I just won't. And I'll wait till something pops up or I feel comfortable about talking about a certain topic like this. Then I'll make one. I mean, I gave you the reason why I wasn't making videos this last 2 weeks. It was hot as hell. We had a hurricane. And right now it's nighttime, so I just got off of work a little while ago. And this has been kind of bugging me ever since I found out about it and I decided to make a video. But neither here nor there. Go subscribe to Gamers Nexus. They're a really good channel. They're really solid with the reviews. They usually are on point with everything. They'll even admit themselves they make an occasional mistake, but at least they do a reshoot or they slice in a cut explaining that they made a mistake and correcting it. Not just posting a pin comment or making a little asterisk on the bottom because you don't want to do the work to correct your mistake. So that's that. Continue with this.
Faced some controversy from its community, at which point it replied on the following WAN show, doubling down despite a complete lack of accurate or even useful testing.
Nothing would have changed. Nothing that obeys the laws of physics would have changed the conclusion.
That statement is already a reckless and problematic doubling down.
Really, Linus? Really? Nothing in the laws of physics. Damn.
Considering the elimination of any possibility to change the conclusion, including a 20-degree reduction, which should change the conclusion.
If the GPU had been 5 degrees cooler, that would have been the conclusion. If it had been 10 degrees cooler, that would have been the conclusion. If it had been 20 degrees cooler, that would have been the conclusion.
And we're not alone in saying they should have just done it properly. At least then you have grounds to stand on for criticisms.
I also get not wanting to retest, but I do think probably just testing it with the thing that they knew it worked with in the first place probably would have.
Exactly. Getting thrown under the bus by your own employee.
Made sense. Because like you're saying, the test result itself doesn't matter, but if it's just supposed to look cool, then it should be seated properly so it looks cool.
After about 5 minutes of rambling, the conclusion effectively was, lol, it still sucks though. Linus then, after publicly humiliating and trashing the work of two guys just getting their start in business while relying on zero effort to examine the thing correctly.
Exactly. And I'll be truthful here. I already unsubscribed to Linus after watching all this unfold, and then their responses and their doubling down, tripling down. Hell, I think even the latest post going forward, what they're gonna do, and none of that video. I don't think they apologized to the company that made the water block. I think they only reached out until Gamers Nexus here actually made this video and offered to pay them for whatever, the card was worth. I mean, the water block. But at that point, it's too late. You sold off the prototype And it's possible you could have auctioned it off to a competitor, and they could just reverse engineer it and make their own. So that's even worse. And like Steve said here from Gamers Nexus, that, and even worse, you auction it off involving a third party that might get if this goes legal for some reason, might get involved in this. And then the fact that you just gave away something that they were asked you to give them back because they needed it, and you said, just auction it off. That's, if you don't see that unethical, I don't get. I mean, maybe he didn't know that they were. I doubt it though, because you'll see right now. He points it out.
Complains about how he'd have to spend $100 to $500 more on an employee's time to test it properly.
But I'm not.
All right, let me skip ahead to where he actually auctions it off. I think it's this part.
Consumers who get misled to bad purchases or not understanding the product.
Here we go. Right.
Startup, rather than spend, by his own admission, a couple $100 in someone else's time out of the $100 million company's coffers.
Exactly.
Making matters worse, in conversations with Billet Labs, Gamers Nexus learned that the company asked for the prototype back on June 28th. This would allow them to send it out to other media or use it for further development. Linus Media Group agreed at least twice to return the product. The first time they agreed to send it back was June 30th. At LTX, Linus Media Group put the one-of-a-kind water block up for auction at its Extra Life auction event without the permission of Billet Labs. Billet did not learn of this until around August 11th, at which point it was told the block is gone. Again, this is despite LMG agreeing in late June to send it back, as LMG would have no further use for the block. Billet told us that it is now stalled, as it no longer has its best prototype available for continued development. It's also missing one of its GPUs. We voiced to Billet a concern of a potential competitor, many of whom were at LTX where it was auctioned, potentially getting a hold of the block to send it off to be cloned. Whether or not this happened is irrelevant. The point is that there's a responsibility that was ignored. The question that...
You blew it.
And that's exactly what I mean. A responsibility that was ignored. Whether it's incompetence or you guys, communications got crossed. If you know they asked you twice for the product back and you still put it on auction, I don't know what the legal standing is about this whole situation, but I smell lawsuit, because it's like me letting you borrow something, specifically asking for it back, and then you just sell it, auction it off. That's still not giving it back to me, and you gave away my product. It's basic. I'm not sure if that's what it is, but in my view, it feels like theft. But let's continue here.
You have to ask as a reviewer, am I being fair when making this type of commentary? And that's regardless of whether you are just an entertainer or you have your entertainer hat on for that video, but not the next one. And this is particularly important for anyone marketing the future of their business's success on the back of objectivity, fairness, data-driven reviews. Another example of this just popped up recently as we were finishing this video. In the short circuit video where Linus Media Group reviewed a mouse in their Not a Review, the company made strong criticisms of the friction of the mouse in the video.
This is not a smooth mouse, and that's really disappointing. Especially on like a premium gaming mouse. That should be one of the primary focuses.
Honage then contacted LMG to notify them that LMG had not removed the protective film from the feet of the mouse. Linus noted in the WAN show that the short circuit team then posted a pinned comment saying that in fact there weren't any stickers on the mouse at the time of testing and that they stood by their commentary of the product.
The bigger issue here is that our initial correction, which was posted, said, hey, no, it is high friction, and we did test it, and there were no films on the feet.
Honage then tweeted publicly with an abrasive statement, but one for which we can't fault them. They point out the irony of being chosen as a gift for LTX's Whaleland attendees, despite the conclusion of the video being this.
Oh my God. Things like this. And then I think some other of their fans or that watched Linus pointed out that they could see the film at the bottom of the feet of the mouse. So I'm gonna skip this part because I don't want to get stricken by Gamers Nexus, even though I'm pretty much doing a review. Well, not a review. I'm giving my 2 thoughts, adding the content. Again, I'll link the original link to Gamers Nexus video in the not the comments, but the description, so you could go watch it yourself and draw your own conclusions. I'm not even gonna put the Linus reaction videos here. Just do your due diligence and go watch those and make up your own mind. I, for one, am already unsubscribed from Linus. Whether they can get my subscription back, I highly doubt at this point, because this could have been fixed with a simple apology, reaching out to the people that they auctioned off the water block to and getting it back, returning the product, apologizing to the community, and owning up to the mistakes they've been making and promising to do better and actually doing better could have helped. But instead, doubling down and tripling down. And then I'm not even going to get into a former employee's accusations that there was sexual harassment, and some of her grievances were not so much that bad, but the ones she was explaining towards the end of her I think it was tweets, I forgot what it was, but of her being called all kinds of names and grabbing her, and yeah, that's some crazy stuff there. But again, guys, comment down below. Let me know if you guys even care about any of this. I will be still doing some Godzilla Battle Line videos, but I'm trying to separate them from the rest of the stuff that I do. So I might just start, or maybe not. Maybe I'll just do like 2 videos, one a regular one like this, and then a Godzilla Battle Line one after that. Shout out to Disbeatus. You've been whooping my ass more often lately. But till next time, guys, Whiskeydeath signing out.